Hello and welcome to lesson 12-4 on stem and leaf plots. In tonight's lesson, we're going to look at stem and leaf plots and how to make them. And you're also going to be able to use stem and leaf plots to compare data sets. So we're going to learn how to make back-to-back stem and leaf plots as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First, well, what is a stem and leaf plot? It's just another graph that we use to display data. And we have to display numerical data, meaning numbers, with these. And with the stem and leaf plot, again, they're just organized in least to greatest order. So it's arranged in order numerically. And what ends up happening is the data is broken up into a stem and a leaf. And you can see I have an example one down here, where there's this line that separates it. We have our stem and our leaves. And what you'll notice is the stem here. All right, we have it in order, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for each stem, there could be 1, 2, 3, or more leaves with it. All right, and how we know what information means is by looking at this key down here. When they have a 1 in the stem and a 4 in the leaf, it means 14. So now we can look at this information here. Well, if it has a stem of 2 and these leaves, it really means 21, 21, 23, 24, 25. All right, same with the 4. Well, if our stem is 4 and we have a 0 in the leaf, it'd be 40, 49. And again, for the 60s, well, it'd be 60, 60, 61, 64. It's very important that you look at the key, because instead, your key might be, well, 1-4 might mean 1.4. So it's very important that you look at the key first so you know what each number means. All right, so we're going to go ahead and actually make one of these now. So we need to make a stem and leaf plot for the data in this table below. And it's looking at the prices of an iPod Touch here. All right, some of these numbers, probably not the most realistic, but we're going to go with them. And I have the steps of how to do this right over here. First, it says choose the stem by looking at the least and the greatest values. So looking at our data, we want to pick our smallest number and our largest. All right, because this is going to help us figure out what we want for the stem and what we want for the leaf. All right, and I'm going to point this out right away so you know. All right, when we do these, you want only one number for each of these in the leaf. All right, you only want one digit for each number in the leaf. So looking at these numbers, they're all 3 digits. So we're going to want only a 4 in a leaf, a 3, the 2, the 9, the 0, the 9, 5, 8. The reason I'm showing this to you is it naturally separates it out. So you'll see I'm already putting in sort of the separation sign between these. The reason you only want one digit in the leaf is because otherwise your information is going to get mixed up. You're going to get confused about what digit goes with what number. All right, so you'll notice that for my stem, I have the numbers like 17, 16, 19, 20, and 18. So looking at it, my least value was 16, and I go all the way to 20. So I'm going to go 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, and now I go ahead and I'm going to start with the 16. So any number in the 160s. Well, I have 162, 165. Again, you start with the smaller. So I'm going to put 2, then 5. All right, now I look at the 17s. Well, I see a 174, 179. So 174 comes first, then 179, because again, it's going in order. And 18s, well, I have 189 and 183, so I put in a 3 and a 9. Well, 199, there's only 1, and 200, there's only 1. There we go. So we drew the stem. The final piece here now is, well, there's really 2 parts. One, you should have a title. So here, I should write prices of iPod Touch. All right, because again, without a title, we don't know really what this information is telling us about. And secondly, we do need a key. So you can pick really any number you wanted to off of this graph we just did. I always like to just choose the first one. So 16, the slash the 2, really means $162. And you'll notice I did put a label over here so you know it's in dollars. It's not in pennies, it's not in quarters, whatever. It's $162. There we go. So now we have this one. Make a stem and leaf plot for the data in the table below, telling us about the temperatures in California. I would like you to go ahead and do this. All right, so first thing again is you're going to have to start by making your stem and leaf. All right, and again, so put your stem in order and then do your leaf. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do this. When you're all done, please come back and check your answer. So pause me now. All right, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So looking at my numbers, I noticed the smallest was 187. My highest looks like it's 134. And again, if it helps me to, I could put a line between each one so I can take a look. But I know it's going to go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right? So now I do my leaf. Let's see. And I see an 86 and an 87. And then in the 90s, there's 91, 97. In the hundreds, there's 101. And then let's see, in the 111s, I see 111, 113. In the 112s, I see 120, 120, 125, and 126. And finally, I see 134. All right, so that's what you should have for that. Again, you should have a title. And again, you'll notice I keep putting mine off to the side, but that's because I write big. A lot of times you should have it over the graph. There we go. So temperatures in California. And don't forget your key. Again, and you can put that below the graph, or you can put it off to the side. So 8-6 means 86 degrees, and I'm going to assume it's in Fahrenheit. All right, so 86 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so that's how you make just a regular stem and leaf plot. Now we're going to look at a back-to-back one. So this is just a stem and leaf plot that actually has two sets of data on the same graph. So here it says draw a back-to-back stem and leaf plot for the annual sales data in the table below. Then find the median for each set of data. So here they give us this graph. All right, and they say, well, the annual sales are a million, and they talk about the years versus how many videos they sold versus CDs. All right, so when we have to do a stem and leaf, it's going to work pretty similar in a way. All right, you're going to have a stem and you're going to have your leaf. All right, but what you want to do is, again, we're going to start with the videos. So on this side is going to be the video sales. All right, and we're going to just do it that same way. And I take a look, well, my smallest number is 15, my largest is 30. However, you want to make sure you look at the other data as well, just to make sure the stem would match up. And yes, it looks like the small stem starts with the 1 and it goes into the 30s. So my stem is 1, 2, 3, or 10, 20, 30. My leaf is, well, what we have. So looking at my videos, let's see, in the 1, I have a 5. Let's see, in the 20s, I have 21, 22, 24, 24, 28. All right, and then in the 30s, I have a 0. And again, I have my first stem and leaf. I have my data, I have my title, I could put in my key. Well, actually, I'm going to save that till the end because there's another way to do it. All right, now here's the thing though, they call it back-to-back. So we're not going to just do another stem and leaf plot below it. We're not going to put the same data together because it's different. What you end up doing is you use the same stem, but your leaf goes this way. So I'm putting another line, and I'm going to do the exact same thing now. All right, so I start with my smallest number, which is a 5. Then it's a 6. Then it's a 6. Then it's a 7. Then it's an 8. You'll notice right here that the smallest number still is closest to the stem, all right, and it works its way outward. So here it goes 21, 22, and so on. This one it goes 15, 16, and so on. All right, so you still start right next to the stem when you do these. And then for this part, we have 22 and 24. There we go, and this part tells us about CD sales. So I give it a title. Now, here's the thing. All right, we want to give this a title, don't we? That's what we need to, or not a title, a key. So when we do our key, we want to make sure we have the same information shown. So what we end up doing is, let's see if I can just make this a little bit smaller first. It might make it a little easier to do. All right, there we go. So I'm going to put my key down below it. And what I'm going to end up doing is making it a back-to-back one really. So I'm going to have my 5. So I'm just again taking the same information, dash 5. And what I do is still tell what each one means. So this one means 15 million. And 1 dash 5, well, that still means 15 million. All right, so even my key is back-to-back. So there we go. Oh, and I already did that, so I guess I'm going to do that second part. So that's your lesson for tonight. Tonight we talked about how to make stem and leaf plots and back-to-back stem and leaf plots. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Have a good night.